Well, the undefeated teams in Europe haven't been able to stop the Schalke hype train as our Jib operator kills another Poro. That's 2 weeks in a row.
It was just one Poro this time.
We have witnessed the murder of our Poro audience. I'm Quickshot, joined by Ent at the caster desk, and we're going to get into Astralis versus Schalke. I'm excited to see Magifelix. I mean, Kadriel was talking about him on the analyst desk. Back in Season 8, Season 9, 5 challenger accounts in the top 10, 1 per role. Now, that's not current, obviously, but like that is a hell of an accomplishment.
Yeah, honestly, this is the type of guy that I feel like everyone on Reddit knows his name, but maybe they've never seen him play before if they don't follow the ERLs closely or EU Masters, but he's been a name that's around for a long time at that highest level in the ERLs, and I'm super excited to see what he brings out on the LEC stage here today.
Nailed it. And welcome to Draft for Week 4 of the LEC Spring season. The end of tomorrow, the first half of Spring will be wrapping up. And Schalke are on the hot streak. 4 games in a row. It's going to be an uphill battle for Astralis. Obviously, Magifelix has come in. There's been a lot of focus from the analyst desk, from ourselves, from fans at home, because he's replacing nukeduck, of course, who did step away due to those personal reasons. Now, let's turn our attention to the draft. And one of the questions I'm going to be asking is, will the Church of LS have any followers? Will Enchanter supports dominate? I know he's been preaching for a while. Not too many people.
Look, Trevor, we've got Crownshot in the league now, but he's not playing in this game, so we might need to pump the brakes on that a little bit. Of course, some pros take a little longer to adapt to these types of things, but the big change on 11.3, of course, those junglers getting nerfed. Olaf, interesting, still drawing a ban here, but Pantheon, Talia, Udyr, all of these picks took a hit. And the thing I have to talk about past that is actually going to be the bot lane, the Rell. It's interesting that Astralis take that one away because Neon has played Kai'Sa in his last 5 games on the LEC stage, and it was paired with Rell in the last 3.
And I distinctly remember talking about this, saying, when will they get him off the comfort pick? Maybe that's one of the ingredients that is helping the Schalke recipe find success. Honestly, Rell was just discussed a moment or two ago. Look at that, the Kai'Sa locked in. So at least Limits champion has been removed. And there was something that you mentioned a moment ago, that how pros and teams are a little slow to adapt. You can see that Olaf being banned away, and we asked questions on what AD junglers would rise in priority. I wasn't expecting to see a Skarner so quick and blind. Yeah,
that's a bit of a Zanzarah pick right there. Of course, Zanzarah, before he joined the LEC stage, was known for the more off-meta picks, like the Ornn in the jungle, the Skarner too. I definitely remember from him. And seeing it early on here is trying to hide, I believe, the soul lane picks from Astralis with a lot of these aggressive early game junglers knocked down a peg. Astralis's read may be that tank junglers might be a little bit more in vogue, that they can't be punished quite as much early on, but I also think that forcing champions like a Kai'Sa to go into a QSS when you have a Rell there too, a lot of this hard CC can be a little bit more difficult here for Neon to play.
And of course, then rounding up phase 1, the bot lanes are going to be secured on both sides. Xayah Rell into the Kai'Sa and Alistar. Now with Olaf and Udyr removed from the pool, Skarner already locked in. My eyes turned to Gilius. We were ideating backstage whether or not the value of Jarvan was going to begin increasing this week, and I want to see what Gilius decides to lock in. Is he's going to remove the Renekton from WhiteKnight?
Yeah, well, we'll see what they end up going for here. Of course, I actually really like what I'm seeing with like an Alistar here into the Rell. I think one of the most difficult things for a Kai'Sa to deal with in lane against a Rell and a Xayah is going to be that Rell can jump on you pretty low range on that Kai'Sa. Then there's the feathers and all that CC as well. So having an Alistar there to use his headbutt, knock that Rell away, remove a lot of that CC option, should give Neon a little bit more space, as well as just being a really solid pairing with that Kai'Sa.
Of course, now we've got the Skarner locked in. Also going to ask some questions of what's going to be happening in the top lane. Phase 2 bans, very heavily focused. Gangplank is the second. Schalke running the clock down before they will round out their final ban.
Yeah, and we heard LS on the analyst desk talking about how WhiteKnight could be a point of weakness here for the Astralis roster. With mid lane already shown from Schalke, you'd expect on 4 here they lock in the jungler for Gilius, save that counter pick for the top lane for BrokenBlade, and of course give him the option to continue on that momentum he's had in the last few weeks. He's definitely been showing up in a big way.
Yeah, absolutely the case. And there was that Jarvan that we talked about, finding himself now in the ban pool in phase 2. So Gilius or BrokenBlade, what will they be running? They're going to be able to secure one of those champions for the time being. And of course, some of those traditional picks into the Azir, the golden oldies. Seeing the LeBlanc, seeing the Corkis, and there's the Gragas. So it will give the option to counter-pick for BrokenBlade.
Yeah, and I think in the past, people have liked the idea of like a Gragas into a Skarner. For example, you know, you have that cast to sort of push people away. Also, potentially, if Skarner grabs onto your carry, you can knock him towards your team and bring your carry sort of to safety there. So there is some playmaking option there with the likes of a Gragas, and I love this. So Magifelix, the Corki pick, he's been known as a Corki player for so long, and LS was saying, look, Corki, maybe not quite in meta right now, but on their first game, in his first game on the LEC stage, Magifelix is going to be going back to comfort.
And of course, it's a matchup that we've seen so many times in the past. As the last pick will now come in for BrokenBlade, it will be the Irelia, his fifth most played champion all time, and an 85% win ratio on that pick.
And this is exactly what I wanted to see out of BrokenBlade. The Gnar gets blind pick. What do you use to beat it in lane? It's an Irelia. Irelia with the reset of her Q, landing stuns, can really punish the Gnar, especially if Gilius ever makes his way towards that top lane. So that's definitely the most explosive lane I feel like we have on the map, and something Zanzarah and WhiteKnight are going to have to consider here in the early game.
Now, when we zoom out, are you leaning towards one composition versus the other? How are they going to play out the keys to victory?
Well, both teams are fairly similar in like jungle through bot lane. Top lane's really where you see the biggest difference. Of course, Astralis, you have two really strong marksman carries from the back line. That's going to be replicated in Azir and a Kai'Sa over on the other side. Big front lines as well. The difference is the side lane threat, and that's where an Irelia can take over against the Gnar.
Let's find out if BrokenBlade can. It's Astralis taking on Schalke. And we're in game for Astralis taking on Schalke. This has the makings of being an electrifying match. And I'll be obviously keeping my eyes on BrokenBlade and whether or not he can be unlocked. I mentioned it during the draft. 14 professional games, 85% win ratio. And it is definitely one of the champions that I associate with BrokenBlade when I do think of him. But the big story that we do have, and I think we'll have time. We should have a little while.
It's Azir versus Corki,
That is exactly what I was going to get into. It's just turning our attention a little bit here to Magifelix, because obviously replacing nukeduck, that is a difficult task already. nukeduck, one of the most storied, longest competing players here in the league. And it's on a team that is struggling 1-6. But admittedly, Astralis had the best signs of life they have had all year last weekend.
Yeah, and I think that nukeduck has definitely been performing well. This split after maybe middling 2020 was off to a good start, so Magifelix is going to have to show up here and help out the rest of the team. Of course, losing a big voice like that, like nukeduck, a lot of the experience too. Does mean there are some pretty big shoes to fill here for Magifelix. But Astralis, frankly, they need a bit of a breath of fresh air coming into this split. 1-6, going towards the halfway point. And now with Magifelix sort of leading the helm from mid, saying, we're going to go the scaling direction. We're going to take it to the late game. He's even got a Doran shield to slow things down inside the lane. He's definitely going to have to show up in the later stages of the game as that team fight carry.
I mean, when you've got two ADs on the team, that is kind of the plan, right? Get 2, 3, 4 items under your belt, and then start to look for those points.
Honestly, Trevor, it's a little bit surprising because this is the type of comp where I feel like Astralis would be really well served by having an enchanter. You know, you have a tank front line in your top lane, in your jungle. Of course, they went for the first pick, Rell. They wanted to take that away from Schalke, but this is definitely the game with two marksmen where you're like, dude, if I could drop a moonstone in there, exquisite.
But the thing that you said, denying limits the Rell, denying the Kai'Sa Rell combination, is that more valuable than the Moonstone? And we'll find out this game if Astralis can make this work. Because, you know, that's going to be the ultimate question. We can see promisq and Jeskla just trading for a moment or two with Neon and Limits.
Yeah, you know, you say you denied the Rell, and I'm all aboard that train, but Neon 6 games in a row now on the Kai'Sa, been doing very well on that champion. And Kai'Sa, one of the best sort of like multi-purpose AD carries in terms of, well, her solo dueling power is very strong. Her laning trades can be very potent next to a melee ADC that can hyper-stack her passive up. And also, because of her passive, she does so much damage to HP stackers. And you have a Gnar, a Rell, a Skarner, all these picks that want to be building a lot of HP that she can now cut through with pretty much ease.
And take a look at the screen here. First movement, Gilius had a little bit of help from Abbedagge, moving in to at least threaten Zanzarah's blue. I saw Zanzarah with the blue buff though, so no risk of a steal in that scenario. And the Rift Herald was picked up in the Northern River, as Gilius is not going to make his way down bottom. So Zanzarah a little bit put behind here. Abbedagge is obviously controlling his mid wave. He got that push early, and he was able to support his jungler.
Yeah, and with the top laners right now, you see both took a reset. BrokenBlade had that full push, supporting Gilius in that, blue side play, and went for the early reset, so forces WhiteKnight also to go back to base. And I really like this decision with about 500 gold in the bank, 600. It's a controller and a Doran's Blade, so BrokenBlade definitely playing for the next few minutes in lane. There's boots on WhiteKnight, so had a little bit more awkward of a time trying to figure out exactly what he needed. I honestly don't think that another Doran's for him would have been too terrible here, because again, this is the lane that I feel could get most explosive, at least pre-level 6. After level 6, maybe our eyes might shift towards the bottom lane.
Okay, so until then, level 4 for the time being, it's a small window for Schalke, but very important to call out that Gilius, for both of the Rift Scuttlers, on the Skull Crabs rather, had support. He had support from Abbedagge, then he had support from Neon and Limit, who right now find themselves under some pressure. Well, BrokenBlade is going to jump in exactly as you predicted, Ender. But the hypercharges and the damage on the back end means it's a fairly even trade.
Yeah, basically all BrokenBlade wants to do in that lane is stack up his passive off of the wave using his abilities, and then as soon as he lands an E, he's going to have full stacks and do a lot of damage. Predator boots on the Gragas, we're coming by.
Now they absolutely are. The stun will find one. Jeskla continues to move with his life flash. Heal already used. That's first blood picked up by Abbedagge, and Schalke, they turn their attention onto promisq, and honestly, that was beautiful.
Yeah, it was just really nicely done. Of course, BrokenBlade doesn't even have to use his TP. He wants to stay in this lane as long as possible, up 16 CS, and then Gilius with the immediate Predator Boots, Lucidity Boots combination. That's a whole lot. Hold on.
Oh my word, underneath the tower, BrokenBlade takes one, and the thumbs up replied by the Fury Horn. But important to note, Broken is playing to win this lane. He is in WhiteKnight's face. He is up 20 CS already.
He's down a flash now, so
touche.
Unfortunately, I do feel like that takes away a lot of kill threat in this lane by not having that summoner. But right here, you see Limit flashes in there, double knockup. It's really nicely done, and you just by being pushed so far up this bottom lane, you can't really escape from the Predator Gragas. It's too long of a lane. You are going to get chased down, and Zanzarah wasn't close enough. There wasn't any sort of TP response out of Magifelix, who I believe had used his just a little bit before. So nice play there from Schalke, using that advantage to attack bot lane.
I mean, it's a 1,000 gold lead at 6 minutes in game. And just to highlight weeks 2 and 3, the 4-win streak here from Schalke. First blood 100%, they keep that up. Gold difference of 15 plus 1.3k. 50% of their game time is in a major lead.
Yeah, and I feel like Gilius has been so effective in the recent weeks at helping his team jump out to an early advantage, has been moving around the map well with Limit too. I was thinking there was room for a play to be made up towards the top side of the map, but he does end up taking a reset. Spends all of his money, so he's now got himself a Dark Seal. So it is going to be the AP Gragas that you would expect, not the tanky boy we all know and love here, likely into something like a Zhonya's after that first item completed. I actually feel like I've seen a little bit of Rocket Belt on the Gragas here for a little bit of extra range, but not one we've had too much experience with here in the LEC.
No, definitely not. And Gilius will be able to guide us through how he's going to handle this, but he's currently got that assist to his name, and the CS advantage for BrokenBlade just shrinking ever so slightly. 15, it's even in the mid lane, and it's currently plus 10 for Neon in the bottom lane. Gilius once again showing his face and making his way down. The explosive cask is available. Jeskla gets caught out. Here comes Limit, the headbutt, the pulverize, but there's the impale from Zanzarah. Gilius is now in enemy territory, and Jeskla picks up the kill. Zanzarah read that like a book.
Well, you hate to see that. Gilius has a good gank of the bot lane, but this time Zanzarah is ready there with his ultimate. Level 6, just blitz towards for Zanzarah. A very nice counterattack by him in that play. You will notice both junglers with Lucidity Boots, and these are very much flash-based junglers in terms of the plays they can make, so no flash on Gilius makes it really hard for him to escape here. And Zanzarah, he was in the middle of channeling a recall. Gilius, this time around, the lane was not quite as pushed for Astralis. They were closer to the tower, and the tower is death here, as Gilius does not have the tank stats or the summoner spells to really escape from that.
No, not this time around. So evens out the kills, closes that gold gap, and importantly, it was Jeskla that was able to pick that one up. Zanzarah or promisq, and Zanzarah again showing his face towards the top lane. The impale is on cooldown. The flash is too, and remember, BrokenBlade is currently flashless. But he's fine that way if he can catch underneath the tower. Sorry, BrokenBlade still has his TP. I actually missed the fact that WhiteKnight had TP back to lane.
Yeah, BrokenBlade's been holding on to that this entire time. Even when the play was made in the bot side, didn't want to use that. He's really trying to wait for his window to attack. And you can see the early laning phase with kills even. It's still very much Schalke favored. Top lane and bot lane doing very well in the CS department. So Zanzarah realizing he needs to get some gold into his players here. Knows that the levels past level 6 for the Skarner, not too meaningful. So his entire jungle is up. And I actually think this is one of the situations where I do like going for this type of a Herald play because the game's not really about a Skarner. It's not about him having items. He's going to go into, you know, as much movement speed as he can afford to. But realistically, that Herald and some plates here before the plates go down onto a Gnar, or even better, I'd prefer to see it onto a Corki or a Xayah.
Yeah, definitely. Double AD, you need to get those guys activated, get their items on the board. And for me, and anybody watching Astralis, whenever I see a pick that is very high priority, I mean, it was Rell first pick, it was Skarner second pick. My brain tells me that those are the two champions that have to do well in the game because the priority is so high. And Magifelix, he's got himself the package. He's going to jump onto BrokenBlade, who, remember, is still flashless. He'll get caught out by the boomerang. Gilius waiting in the shadows, got his flash and ulti too. Yeah,
and they're going to be able to deny this entire wave. They have the Herald to drop down in top lane as well, and even though Gilius is here, because it's a jungler and a mid lane roaming up, they're able to attack this and get so much off the tower. Now, BrokenBlade does have TP and could come back in because Astralis is leaving.
All right, the teleport's now being channeled. A couple plates picked up. It looked like it was WhiteKnight that got that. Now, I do think in this scenario, that's pretty good, and I'll explain why in just a moment. Limit and Abbedagge now being flanked. Zanzarah and promisq. The sliding glide from Abbedagge. Now Limit to the next target. He's still got flash, but no ultimate available. And he will get chunked down and killed by Magifelix. Astralis get to it, even the gold.
Yeah, you see the interaction right there. Even though Skarner's getting CC'd, as long as you press your R while the Alistar is mid-air, it will go off and you will still drag him back. So using Alistar's own kit against him there, in a way the displacement, of course, ended up working like a hook, like a blitzcrank, and just dragging him on in. And no level 6 on the Alistar is bad news. No escaping from that Skarner.
Nothing at all. I mean, Zanzarah's first two impales, very impactful. Well, obviously, because he got 2 kills. Well done, Trevor. But I do want to ask the observers to look at the total gold at the moment, because what I was trying to get to a moment ago, with the Rift Herald being chucked in the top lane, and with there being a 25 CS advantage, it's only 250 gold between WhiteKnight and BrokenBlade. So I do think in this single scenario, with the advantage BrokenBlade was building up, and with the picture that you had painted in draft, Ender, that if BrokenBlade could get unlocked in that side lane, it could be a really big threat. This keeps WhiteKnight within touching distance of his opposition.
Yeah, and to be clear, I do expect, you know, this lane is going to continue to be very much Irelia favored, and she builds a lot of these on-hit items, you know, sustain options already going towards her Blade of the Ruined King. She is going to be very potent in any sort of 1v1 situation, but like you said, as long as WhiteKnight is keeping himself relatively close, still getting into items so that Astralis can play for the team fights, that will be very nice for them. Now, I have to say, I am impressed, though, the last couple minutes that I have seen from Astralis playing here, and some of the decision-making with Astralis roaming up towards top, Zanzarah even realizing he can still attack in mid. And I think it goes to prove, Astralis, you look at their entire team comp, and on paper, they're names that are recognizable, but haven't really stayed around the scene for a super long time. Like, Jeskla's played LEC before, WhiteKnight's played LEC before, Zanzarah even subbed in for Origin back in 2019, the Gauntlet, I want to say, but definitely been at their game for a long time, and now we're going to see a 2v2 topside.
Yeah, BrokenBlade's going to be the target. Teleport now coming down from Abbedagge. There goes Gilius with the Predator, not going to find his target, and the TP will save potentially BrokenBlade's life. And I want to build on that thought, because the Astralis players have been playing for a long time, just not at this level. Right? Zanzarah, we had an interview with him a couple of weeks ago, and he was talking about how many years he's been playing the game. But here at the LEC tier, promisq the same. Just like literally every single one of these players. And then to be put together on a roster that is struggling near the halfway point, 1-6. I do currently find myself relatively impressed. Schalke, the team on a hot streak. Schalke, the team that is dominating at the 15-minute mark. We just showed those stats. Right now, Astralis are ahead in kills. They're behind in the Dragon, of course, but they're staying even on goals.
And I will say we have seen Astralis, you know, perform well in the early game, have a lot of close games to begin it off, and then all of a sudden, the mid game, the later stages of the game, the team fighting, the map play, that's where it begins to fall apart, and that's going to be the biggest challenge for Astralis in a game like this, when you have to consider side lane threats potentially with an Irelia. Can Magifelix's Corki end up going into a side lane and matching that? Can Astralis force team fights when they want to go in, or are they just going to get knocked away by an Azir wall, a Gragas cask, you know, all these tools that can be used to disengage them. Astralis are going to have to be coordinated in the 5v5 because that is explicitly what they have drafted for.
Yeah. Difficult task, but some, on a different train of thought, rather, similarly, I think I was going to go for. At least if they do have to be cornered and they have to be on the same page, maybe it reduces some of the decision-making, right? Make sure you got your vision up, look for those scenarios, and look, first big-ticket items coming in. Chem Tank, Shield Bow, Gale Force, Blade of the Rune King for BrokenBlade on that Irelia. And we're now setting ourselves up 2 minutes until the next dragon. It was Schalke that were able to pick up the first of the game. And as we approach this 15-minute mark, Astralis are looking to go toe-to-toe, and every time Zanzarah shows, he's been able to find kills and impales.
Yeah, he's got the chem tank, he's got the flash, he's got phase rush too, so that means once he actually gets to you with the movement speed, he is pulling you back very quickly as well. Just a Q, an R, and a smite is enough to proc that one very easily and get that extra movement speed, the slow resist too. I do find the Immortal Shield Bow really interesting. On this Corki, it was one of those AD items that got buffed, a little bit of AD, a little bit of attack speed, but I think more than anything, it plays into the idea of matching an Irelia in a side lane later on as this TP comes in, and I'm gonna quote Kobe.
I knew you were gonna do it. Yes,
that
do it.
TP sucked.
Oh, I'm so proud. That was really good. Can you even like theorize? Was that like if BrokenBlade had dived? No.
Look, Abbedagge knows some bad Corki play too. He packaged into the fountain in a series-defining game once.
That is brutal. Listen, Between Two Ivers is over. Stop channeling that version. promisq and Zanzarah are backing away from the river. But Schalke are not. Gilius has found himself a promisq who still has flash. The Impale will catch Gilius. Here comes Limit. He's going in with the flash, the headbutt, the pulverize, hop over the wall from WhiteKnight. He's about to go Mega Gnar. The Vanguard team goes up from BrokenBlade, but it doesn't find any targets. Neon is split up from the rest of the fight, and Gilius is now dead. Limit is going to try to get away, but he simply cannot. The sacrificial cow in this scenario. Abbedagge forced to flash himself, and Astralis on the chase. They punish Schalke's dive.
Yeah, I mean, just really nicely done right there. The no-skill R button from Zanzarah completely ruins Gilius as he tries to go in for that play. And now Astralis, they've got a lot of players towards the mid lane. Wave clear will be enough so the tower won't go down. We're 30 seconds away from an ocean, so things will slow down for the time being. Astralis just getting some control over that bot side river, but that is going to mean so many summoner spells blown, so many ultimates blown right before that Drake. We'll have to check that out after the replay because, again, it is Schalke going really hard to force this fight. Neon's a little bit far away. Gilius is just going very hard, and even BrokenBlade looked like he didn't want to commit into the fight. And sure, they don't expect that Zanzarah is going to be there, but you guys, you have a lot of movement speed on this Gragas. You can't just sprint in head first into the enemy jungle, tier 2 tower almost. That is definitely not the play for them, and Schalke get punished for just going way too deep.
Yeah, overcommitting for sure. 2 kills picked up, and crucially, one of them goes to Jeskla, one of them went to Zanzarah, and it will allow Astralis to pick up their first Drake of the game. So it's 1 apiece there, plus 1,000 gold to Astralis. No towers have fallen as of yet at 16.5 minutes. And now we're going to start to play on the Mountain Rift, as the amount of damage Magifelix was able to put out there on that teamfight bot, that was immense.
Yeah, so much coming on through for him. And again, I feel like Corki's one of those champions that, of course, does so much in terms of the team fight, but also if you just give him a package and he runs into a side lane, you can immediately jump on someone and force a 1v1 where you just out-damage them. And I want to play into this idea again that Magifelix has the tools to counter a lot of the Schalke options, whether it's the team fight or potentially a 1v1 in the side lane against BrokenBlade. That's going to be a little bit harder, and he's going to have to definitely keep up in terms of itemization in this game. But with the shield bow, that does open that avenue.
The shield bow completed a kill and assist, as well as a 30 CS advantage over BrokenBlade. I think Magifelix is sitting in a good position. But now let's set some expectations for the next few minutes. The first towers have fallen for both teams, top and bottom respectively. We can see some movement as Astralis have positioned their place towards the river. Now, will they be able to get in time to challenge? The answer is yes, and Zanzarah walks into the pit and says, thank you very much for the Herald. He's actually going to hold on to this one, maybe looking for another fight. Limits going low. The barrel comes up from Gilius to try to buy some time. Magifelix continues to chase forward and is firing out those rockets, but a gift-wrapped Herald as Astralis just brute force their way into the pit.
Yeah, Astralis aren't doing anything really special, whether it was the top lane fight or now just stealing away a Herald for free, pretty much. They're just grouping up and punishing Schalke as they try to do too much around the map here. Neon gets a TP in from BrokenBlade, but again, they don't know Zanzarah's waiting to help out.
Well, what can Zanzarah do? WhiteKnight's going to go so low. He jumps away from the Vanguard's edge, but trading TP and Flash for the same on the other side. Now Gilius, he does not have access to his ultimate. The tower's being pressured. Now look at the minimap. I don't think any further action.
No, but Astralis are actually getting a lot off of this because they denied the tower from falling. In the meantime, Magifelix was still pushing top while everyone from Schalke had to vacate the premises up there. So Magifelix will get the turret for free. Doesn't actually stick around as he sees Abbedagge coming up. He's playing it safe. Magifelix doesn't want to die today. He's going deathless today. That's what he's going for. And I would prefer that to the rookie comes in, over pushes for a side lane tower and gets ganked by an Alistar and dies.
Am I allowed to get excited? And you're not going to like where I'm going to take you.
It's a close game, Trevor.
Here's the theory.
Don't lose your mind yet.
Here's the theory, okay?
Okay.
Undefeated teams in the LEC means you're cursed. If you go undefeated, like we saw from G2, like we saw from Rogue, you get taken down by a shock, by a surprise. It was Schalke that did it first. Right now, Schalke are undefeated in 4 games. And Astralis.
Yeah, that's not what undefeated means. Astralis are undefeated with this roster, Trevor.
Exactly. So who will be able? No, that doesn't work. I got a bit ahead of myself. But
look, your quick stats needs to take a timeout.
Yeah, they absolutely do. But look, Astralis 3 kills up. They've got themselves a 1,000 gold lead with 20 minutes of gameplay, 2 minutes till Dragon. And we talked a little bit about how the comp wants to team fight, how they really want to make sure Magifelix and Jeskla are set up for success. So my instinct is, if they can get free objectives like this, they will. But wait for the Dragon and fight around that.
And while Zanzarah was putting Herald in mid lane, Magifelix was taking the Wolf camp, waiting for these minions to spawn up here. And you can see he has a level advantage over Abbedagge. He's got a lot of the money in the bank too, and you will see level 13 Corki does start to pump out a whole lot of damage, I think, already. Very nice. Here we go, Limit.
That is such a fast Scorpion. Flash forward, manages to catch Neon with the Impale. And that is 2 quick kills, a double to Jeskla. Baron is open as well.
That's the coordination that we need to see from Astralis to find a flank, find a fight right there with promisq coming around. And now double marksman, no TP on BrokenBlade. They're just going to get a 20-minute Baron, Trevor, unless Gilius can steal away.
This undefeated Astralis roster will be able to pick up this Baron unless Gilius does something magical. He's done it before. He's done it many times before.
Yeah, just zone him away.
Hops over the wall, about to Gnar out, and Gilius can't do it. Round of applause for Astralis as they get themselves a Baron, they get themselves a 3k gold lead, and they are in the best position possible against Schalke.
That's just everything Astralis needs to do right there, from getting the flank to then WhiteKnight building up his Mega Gnar so he could hop over the wall and make sure Gilius could get nowhere close. And right here, there's no vision in the river. There was actually a blue trinket. Oh, that just goes out right there. Yeah, Limit gets a little bit too close to the bush. Again, the side laners from Schalke are not there. So every single time Schalke spread out across the map, this is what Astralis needs to do. Find that, concave they can collapse in from the side, get that attack off, and continue to do so well. They're also going to be able to get this Mountain Drake because of the Baron buff off it. Magifelix just has to be a little bit careful.
Well, he's got himself the Flash still available, Valkyrie as well. But I'm taking a look at itemization. Now, Jeskla picked up the double kill. He's got the Essence Reaver as well as Gale Force. But now if you look at the other side, Neon has had to invest in a QSS early and only Kraken Slayer. So when you think of the actual combat stats disparity between the two of them, it is gigantic right now. Compound that with Baron-empowered minions, and Astralis can just take a tower uncontested in the mid lane.
Yeah, it's a 2k gold difference between the two AD carries. Every other lane is going to be very tight between them, but I actually really like this, how Astralis are playing the map. They're not even going for the Drake immediately. They're trying to maximize this Baron buff, get both inner turrets in both mid lane and bot lane. Top lane too is going to be going down soon as well. So, I mean, Astralis are just playing smart. They haven't done a lot this game, right? It was a good punish on a team fight in the top side, and then a good pick in the mid lane, and that just turned into a Baron, and now everything on the map.
Good, clean League of Legends here from Astralis. With a minute and 20 left on this Baron buff, the Red Bull Baron power play is already at plus 3,000 before they add the rest. And I'm going to go back to something I said 20 minutes ago. The Rell and the Skarner really have to do well this game because of the 005 on promisq, that was the first pick. Zanzarah on the Skarner, 105. He has found ways to impact. And you talked about it. This was something that was synonymous with Zanzarah in the RLs and the UMs and lower levels of play. but he's popping off against Schalke, and Gilius' Gragas just hasn't really had a way in, because remember, Zanzarah started his rampage by killing Gilius.
Yeah.
And the counter ganks were very, very impressive as Astralis pick up the second dragon.
Yeah, and for Schalke, right, we saw like unbridled aggression out of them and them getting punished a couple of times. This is a team that has just upset G2 and Rogue, and we are starting to put in the conversation of how good are they actually? Are they legit? Are they at the top of the standings? And now to see these types of fumbles, they immediately have to recover off of this, because the early game was not executed very well by Schalke. BrokenBlade, you know, even losing his flash in the 1v1, lost some kill pressure in that lane, has built up a good CS advantage, but now they can't use that side lane pressure. They're just continually pushed underneath their towers, and it is Astralis with every single advantage.
I mean, Zanzarah is just threatening the engage. He doesn't have flash available, but standing behind the tower, chucking out the fracture. He's got himself the crystalline exoskeleton and the chem tank if he wants to just rush in. But the Baron times out, and that is a gigantic advantage. 6,000 gold right now. And I think I just saw a dead man's plate. There you go.
Yes, sir.
Zanzarah's dead man's plate. So he's going to be able to waddle up to whoever he wants to and chuck down the Impale. Now, I need to take a quick look at who's been able to pick up those QSSs, who's paid the Skarner tax. Right now, it is only Neon. And Ender, I think you said a little earlier, there's about 2,500 gold difference between the bot laners. But please add into that the additional 1,300 gold, you know, that Neon's had to dump in the QSS tag.
Yeah, and I don't even know if we will see more QSSs to come out, maybe on BrokenBlade a little bit later. I think Abbedagge is going to say he has his ultimate, he has mobility on this champion, he can try to get away. Same for Gilius, but again, it means that if Gilius is ever flashing into the fight, he's immediately going to die, because there's no survivability stats on him whatsoever, and I actually don't really know the approach that Schalke need to take to get into a fight just now. You know, Astralis aren't really giving them any, you know, weak side lanes that Schalke can look to attack and punish on the overextending WhiteKnight. WhiteKnight is very much dodging whatever side lane that BrokenBlade is going to be going into, and the jungle also does not belong to Schalke anymore. Very good vision setup from Astralis. There are some wards that Schalke could try to flank TP onto, but again, those fights very likely are not going to be won by Schalke, so they do not have the best options other than sit inside of their base for the time being and continue to try and scale up. But with, you know, the lethality type build on the Kai'Sa, I'm not sure if that's going to stack up super well against a Corki and a Xayah.
No, it absolutely won't. Zanzarah is looking for a target. He has all the tools available to find a pick. It is 1 minute and 20 until Baron. It's 2.5 until Dragon. And Astralis are consistently pushing these side lanes. Schalke are being strangled off of Summoner's Rift.
Come on, observers, he was having a good game.
For anybody watching, the observers showed us that on purpose. They did that to Magifelix, all right? Magifelix, yes, you messed up the Valkyrie over the wall, but...
That guy had 5 accounts in the top 10 of Challenger, by the way.
Oh.
Hope for all you Iron Andes out there.
That really makes me feel better about myself. It really does, you know? But all kudos to him. Like 300 CS plus 40 over his lane opponent. He's got 3 items completed. This Corki into Azir is in such a great position. Jeskla, by the way, 4-1. Plus 450 gold bounty. As now Limit is going to be the next target. Zanzarah may not even need to yell, get over here. Gonna try to chase him down, holding onto the Impale. Will not use it this time round. Flash is still available and Limit escapes, but at the cost of summon a heal and 2 ultimates from Schalke with 10 seconds to Baron and a minute to mount.
Oh, Magifelix level 16. Endy has the package ready. He wants the 1v1.
Let's find out if he can get it. Magifelix steps forward. There's the teleport coming in. The target gets blown up. The force bomb into a big one.
Oh, Magifelix!
Magifelix with the double kill. Welcome to the LEC.
He didn't want the 1v1, Trevor. He wanted the 1v2, and he cuts down both of Schalke's solo laners. A beautiful debut here for the new Astralis mid laner.
Yo, LS, what do you think of that? What do you think of Magifelix's debut on the LEC stage under Astralis's banner? Manages to win the 2 1v1s, and he's really feeling himself as now he gets jumped on, and this time will go down in a 3v1. The rest of Astralis start to collapse on Schalke. The WhiteKnight's about to Gnar out. He's got the ult available and may not even be needed. Manages to find 2. Zanzarah doesn't even need the Impale. And with 2 more kills, Astralis turn their attention to the base.
Not only can Magifelix 1v2, he also initiates team fights with the Corki, gets 3 people to commit in there, and the rest of Astralis show up to finish off the fight. They're going to break the base here from Schalke. Schalke, just 3 players left alive, top, mid, and jungle. They'll be able to hold off this push, but not before they lose in the hit.
Well, all credit here to Astralis. They don't bite off more than they can chew. There's still the Flash Emperor's Divide from Abbedagge. They are going to be happy with the super minions. They've still got that Baron buff for a little while longer, and they'll back away. I mean, that was fantastic. The fake news starting at teamfight, but this was exceptional.
Yeah, you love it here from Magifelix, and the crazy thing is, he's a little bit fed here. What he wants to be able to do is dodge away from the Irelia E, because if he ever dodges Irelia E, I think the 1v1 is pretty much unwinnable. That's where the Valkyrie's trying to come through, but it doesn't matter, because again, he itemized with an Immortal Shield bow, so he gets that huge shield. He also just finished off a Bloodthirster on his last reset, as Earth the Manatee rolls in, laughing all the way to the bank here, and now he's unkillable with these items. He is a monstrosity, and Astralis hitting yet another inhibitor.
Yeah, Astralis hitting Schalke with a spatula. The inhibitor turret is now taken down in the mid lane. Zanzarah gets a chilling smite onto Gilius. He's looking for a target. Flash still available. I'm looking for the Flash Impale. I want to hear, get over here one last time, Zanzarah. 105. promisq has a license to kill at 007.
Oh, no.
Get over here as Astralis take down BrokenBlade, and they may have just landed the fatality on Schalke's winning streak. Limit manages to get the headbutt backwards. Abbedagge is holding onto the Emperor's Divide, but it is a 5 versus 3 with Baron empowered minions.
Astralis have everything they need. Abbedagge is getting flashed on by Jeskla. He has nowhere to run, nowhere to hide, but he somehow gets out, but not before the rest of Astralis come in to finish him off.
There is nothing Schalke can do to stop Astralis today. The Nexus turrets are being focused down, and Astralis will defeat Schalke, no fear.
And the lights go dark on the hopes of the Schalke faithful who thought they'd go undefeated. Astralis, though, come in, and they looked really good there, honestly. I mean, even the small things from Magifelix, of course, put a huge spotlight on him in this game, but working with his jungler, being thrown into this new duo to find some early roams, and then, of course, the fun business in the sideline later on with that 1v2. You love to see it.
It is such an awesome feeling. Even just a shoutcast, the new player to the stage, the guy that comes in to replace nukeduck on a struggling team, and he managed to have such a pop-off performance. Look, it was a simple, clean win, but that is important for a team that was 1-6 in the standings, now 2-6. Key Player of the Game nominees at LEC on Twitter: Zanzarah, Magifelix, and Jeskla. Like, seriously, there's one answer here.
You have to do.
There is one answer
what
here.
you have to do.
You better do it. Coming up next, XL Esports are looking for their 4th win in a row as they take on the struggling Vitality. And
they are out there, waiting to be discovered. Some of them are big, and some of them are small. But that's the thing with ideas. They don't just come to you. To find them, you have to move. Kia, movement that inspires.
You don't have a chance against me. I can calculate 90 trillion moves in advance. Not fair. Not fair.
Red Bull gives you wings.
Hi everyone, welcome back to the LEC Astralis pick up their second win of the split, and I have Magifelix with me to talk about the victory. Hi, thank you for joining me.
Hello, thank you.
You're welcome. We know that Schalke was on a 4-game win streak before you faced them today, so how were they for a first opponent for you?
I mean, coming into this game, we didn't actually feel like they were like that strong of a team. Like, sure, they are fine, but we didn't consider them like one of the top teams, so we were not that like nervous coming into this game. We actually thought we had a pretty good shot at taking them down. So I would say we felt pretty good, yeah.
Right, so tell me more. All right. Oh, I'm sorry. I have a small delay. I don't want to interrupt you, but tell me more about Schalke maybe, because we've been noticing the aggressive and fearless playstyle that they had, but it looked like it backfired a bit today, and you were able to capitalize on their mistakes. So tell me how it went for you.
I mean, we kind of knew like going into this game that they were for sure going to pick, you know, the Kai'Sa and try to like dive us. But we felt that if we just played, you know, a slow and steady game, and we made sure that we, you know, grouped up in team fights, then we would easily be able to just, you know, outscale them with the Corki in this game. So that's the plan we went for, and it worked out for us.
Just waiting for your time to shine and your composition. But I want to know a bit more about you, Magifelix, because we heard so much about you. We saw you a bit in the LEC last year, but still, it's now your time to shine. Of course, it's not easy to just arrive in the middle of the season here with Astralis. So how has it been working with them so far?
I mean, for me, you know, it was very sudden that I actually got a chance to play in the LEC. Like, they contacted me because nukeduck had like a problem, so he had to step down.
Yeah.
So they contacted me on like a really short notice, and so I had to, you know, prepare like really fast a good champion pool, because, you know, I had not been actually planning on playing competitive this split. So I was just one-tricking Nico in solo queue. So you can't really play only Nico in LEC, so I had to make sure that I could, you know, prepare some stuff. And then coming into the team, like, it was a really, like, you know, sudden move for me. I just had to like fly to Denmark in 2 days, and then when I came here, like, we had 1 or 2 days of practice before these games, so it was very sudden for me. But I think, you know, it was very nice for me to like actually meet Jeskla again, because I used to play with him before in Movistar Riders. And I think the team overall has like a really good atmosphere.
All right. Well, I'm glad you're reunited with friends. And yeah, rough schedule for you arriving in the LEC. But I mean, for a first game, you get to play your Corki. I know it's a pick you like. And you got player of the game playing that champion. So tell me more about Corki in the meta right now. LS had some strong words about the champion, but I mean, obviously it works.
I would say Corki is like a very good scaling pick. So if the enemy team can't punish you in early game, then Corki is for sure like good in the current meta, in my opinion. But you need to make sure that you're not like falling too far behind in the early game, because that's his like biggest weakness. If you can get past that, then he's a very good like late game carry.
Which is exactly what we saw here with you, Magifelix. Amazing performance again on the champion. Welcome to the LEC, and thanks for the interview today.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome. And let's take one short break, and we'll be back in a few minutes with CrownShop being back on the bot lane for Vitality as they face off against XL. Stay tuned.